This is a 2025 Ford F450. And finally I found one in a lower trim level, which is an XLT. I borrowed this truck from Larry H. Miller, Super Ford here in Salt Lake City. Tim did tell me this truck might become available. So if you're in the market for a 450, here's one ready to go. It's not 120 grand basically. It's actually not a bad price, which is what we're gonna check out next. At the very top is the description with the colors. And then here's a short listing of the standard equipment. Starting off the options is the high output Power Stroke for $3,000. And all weather floor mats, carpet delete, FX4, platform running boards, rapid heat, engine block heater, back glass defrost was only 60 bucks, it's a no-brainer. Pro Power onboard, Power Scope, trailer tow mirrors, so they're powered to go into tow mode, wheel well liners out front, LED box lighting, upfitter switches, remote start, tailgate step, and it has the center console with a security code wireless keyless entry. Base price of the truck was $70,535 and destination comes in at $2,095 for a total price of $80,190. So here's a fun fact. If you're looking at the XLT premium package, you cannot get it for the F450, and here's why. In order to get the XLT premium package, it forces you to get the black appearance package, which is not available for the F450. So you cannot get LED headlights, and I'll show you guys here in a second what else you cannot get. So on the front end, halogen headlights and fog lights, which is not a big deal. I haven't used these at night, so I can't give you my opinion if they're good or not. Incandescent turn signals right there. No front camera, although if you want 360 camera, that is available. You cannot get, however, front parking sensors. You have these black recovery hooks up front, and this is why you buy an F450. You have this wide front track, solid front axle, and there's that liner, it's plastic. Also, they do paint these fender flares, and then here are the tires. These are the Continental HDR 5s, and they are 3-peak, 225/70, 19.5, so 19.5-inch wheels, aluminum. If you get a little bit closer, you guys can see they are a load range G, as well as 3,970 pounds of capacity at 110 psi. And if you're running them as dual, which this truck does, 3,750 pounds at 110 psi. I will show you guys a yellow sticker, show you what Ford recommends to run these at. You don't have to run them that high, which is a good thing. Now, do you guys see the security code? I like how they installed it on this truck. If you're looking to get the security code option, make sure your dealer puts it here. Super Ford, which is Larry H. Miller here in Salt Lake City, does it the best. Some dealerships will put it here, which looks tacky. This looks so much better. I mean, this looks ugly regardless, but if I were getting it, I would want it installed there. Now, you guys see some of the badging, XLT, F450, a little bit of chrome. Here are the mirror caps, all in plastic. You have this forward light here, heated mirrors. This truck does not have blind spot monitoring. You don't have smart key system. You have these fixed running boards. Now, with the FX4 package, the reason why I would get it, and I say this quite often, you guys see they do give you a skid plate for that transfer case, but the reason why I would get it is for this 48-gallon fuel tank that they have here. That's a big tank, and this gives you added protection if you are on the highway and you run over something. If it were to pierce that fuel tank, that would suck, especially if you're towing a heavy load. But yeah, 48-gallon fuel tank, 7.5-gallon DEF. This truck does have the steps on the side, which I like. I like the way this truck looks with the steps. Here's the dually side and the dual rear wheels. And this does have a liner. You have 4 leaves in the main pack with that overload. And 10 lug, I always forget to mention that, but yeah, this has a 10 lug versus the 8 on the F350s. Clearance lights. Now, this does not have any LED in the tail lights, all incandescent bulbs there. No parking sensors. And this does have the class 5 with a 3-inch opening too. 7 and 4 pin. This is not going to be assisted. But it does have 2,000 watts of power, and because it has a 5th wheel prep package, 7 and 4 pin, bed lights, no power sliding rear glass. But a lot of people don't care about all these things. If you can get a truck this cheap, and I'm pretty sure you can work with Tim to see if maybe he can give you a little bit off, so that way you can say you got a truck under 80 grand, which is nice. 430 rear end, has that aluminum diff cover. It's going to help with cooling. Limited slip rear. And there's your spare tire. By the way, that inner wheel there is a Steely too. And here's a nice side view of this beast. Love the girth of a dually. Now, some people might say that the biggest negative to a F450 with the 14K GVWR is that you can't get the gas engine with this truck. So it does come standard with the standard output power stroke, and when you get the high output, it's only $3,000. So this truck starts at 70 grand, and that's with the diesel. That's not too bad for an XLT pickup truck, just saying. 500 horsepower, 1,200 pound-feet of torque, better cooling, lower compression out of this high output compared to the standard output per Ford. Some people say that's not the case, but I heard a Ford engineer say it, so that's why I mentioned it here. Now, all that power does go through a 10-speed transmission known as a 10R140. They are still using the CP4, but hey, if you're concerned about it, go get you a dog. Or if a dog's too expensive for you, you could just run the additive for the lubricity to help get the lubricity back up, because you know this truck uses ultra low sulfur. So just use some Hot Shot Secret, Diesel Clean, whatever is going to raise the cetane number is a good thing, and whatever is going to give you better lubrication for the fuel system, just do that and you shouldn't have any problems. Let's check out the interior really quickly. One of these days I'm going to do a comparison for an XL and XLT just to show you the difference, because when you see this you're like, man, this looks like a regular XL truck, but then when you see them side by side you can really see some of the updates that they do for the XLT. But auto up and down for the front windows, you have power folding outside mirrors, and the tow scope power is right there. Okay, here's some of your lighting controls. Electronic parking brake, you have that carpet delete right there, so you have the vinyl floors, and you have a little bit of power for the seat here, so you can lift the seat cushion here and lift the seat up. You can slide it. Lumbar supports this. However, if you want to adjust the back, your lazy butt gonna have to pull this lever here, so not a big deal. Some people don't care. Honestly, I like the power function that you get there, and I think this is better personally because it's faster, so that's actually an advantage in my opinion. Let's go ahead and jump over to the passenger side. On this side, no power. You can't even adjust the seat up and down, which that's silly. If you did have an XL work truck, this would look different, by the way, too. And this is pretty deep too, I would say. You guys see some of your storage there. Grab handles on both sides and out back. This door opens decently wide, I would say. Seat back pockets. That vinyl flooring does extend back here. 2 USBs, 120 volt power plug, air vents. And this seat, 60/40, which I like. And this does come down here. You have your bottleneck jack. No armrest in the center here. That defrost was only $60. You know, now that I think about it, that's expensive actually for those little lines. To run across that glass, 60 bucks, that's a very expensive option. However, if you don't have those lines there, this glass, when it gets dirty, it gets bad. I had a truck without defrost and I'll never do it again. So this truck already has it. Let's jump back over to the driver's seat and drive this really quickly. The only thing I don't like about this truck is you have to insert a key. That's the only reason why I probably would jump over to a Lariat. So, and one other thing, no leather wrap steering wheel. Again, if you're using this truck for work, that may not be a big thing, but for me, comfort wise, I like leather wrap steering wheel. Because these don't even last longer. I mean, if it lasted longer, maybe it'd be better. But here we go. This is why you buy an F450. Turn on the dime. My goodness. You don't need much space. You can do that while you're towing a trailer too. And I will say this truck is pretty comfortable too, by the way. I would say it's more comfortable compared to maybe even some Ram trucks out there, just saying. I love the center console, by the way. If I were building an XLT, it would have to have this center console. And you can get it as a standalone option, which is nice. You don't have to jumble it together with some other package. Sometimes that's how you're able to get these features in some cases. But yeah, driving through city, it's a dually for sure. And you gotta remember, this truck rides on 19.5-inch wheels and commercial grade tires. I would venture to say the suspension is probably the same. So this truck has a detuned GVWR, right? So it's not as overbuilt as a actual cabin chassis Ford, right? Because they have the C-channel rear section of the frame, and then under the cab it has a fully boxed. This has a fully boxed frame all the way back. I would venture to say too that the suspension on the F450 cabin chassis is going to be 3 times different than what you're going to get in this truck. So if you're not after towing 20,000 pounds, but you have a 15 or 16,000 pound fifth wheel, and you don't want an overbuilt cabin chassis truck and have to buy a bed and all this other jazz, that's why you get this one. And this is a perfect spec. If you're not looking for a lot of frills, if you want to get a truck at a decent price today, I think this is probably one of the best priced trucks on the market. I'm sorry, it just is. When I see everything that you can get, and I haven't even shown you the payload yet. The payload on this truck is probably going to be higher simply because of the missing options. Like, for example, spray-in does take away from your payload too. Even driving this truck in the city is easy. It's not too hard. I'm going to take a turn here once this light turns green, but maneuvering this thing is not too hard. Even parking it, obviously you have the backup. You have a backup camera here for that. Here we go. Whew. It's hot today. It's 93 degrees, so that engine sounds a little bit louder because of the fans. One thing I love about this gearing and the power this truck has, this truck feels very nimble, like on its feet. And the brake feel, wow, this truck is heavy. Let's go ahead and turn on that exhaust brake. We'll check that out when we get on the highway here in a second. But yeah, exhaust brake actually is up here. I'm about to put it in tow haul mode. Look, I'm thinking about ready to tow a trailer. But yeah, I like to drive my exhaust brake on. A lot of people say that it's good for the turbo when you do that. We're about to get on the highway now. Yeah. Woo. Truck is so fast. And if you were to hook up 15,000 pounds of this truck and go up a grade, it probably would still hit 80 miles an hour because of the RPMs. I mean, going 60 miles an hour, we're just under 2,000 RPMs. That's crazy. Yeah, we get 75. Let's see, 75. We're like at 2,200 RPMs. So that's why you don't buy this truck unless you're really towing. Because that's what it's for. It's for doing some hauling, especially upgrades. Exhaust brake works amazing. You can hear it too, actually. It's not as aggressive as the Rams. Ram's new 8-speed torque flight made by ZF. It did a good job overall, but Ford definitely did fix their exhaust brake. Their exhaust brake is adequate at best. It's not the best, but it's adequate for sure. It's better than GM's. GM is still the worst. But yeah, I like this truck, guys. I think that if you're in the market for an F450, I mean, you can't go wrong. These trucks hold their value. They're hard to find still. And if you can get one available, you better jump on it. A few more things to point out. Here's your measurements, as they call it. Shows you the temperatures, battery voltage, turbo boost, engine brake percentage, diesel particulate filter, and DEF level. Up top here, auxiliary switches, place for your sunshades, LED interior lights, and they still provide a vanity for both sides. Backup camera is right here. Dual stage exhaust, downhill assist came a part of the FX4. You have multiple drive modes, 4-wheel drive, high and low. Trailer brakes right there. And 2 Type-C USBs. They do illuminate this area. Let's go ahead and check out the payload. Gross axle weight rating out front is going to be 6,000 pounds. The rear is 9,900 pounds. Gross vehicle weight rating is going to be 14,000 pounds. 19.5 by 6 wide wheels, and then that 430 with a limited slip is a 4L axle code. All-in payload is just over 5,000 at 5,060 pounds. They recommend the tire pressure at 90 in the front, 80 in the rear. Hope you guys liked the video. I think that this is one of the best trucks on the market still, and Ford is just in a class of its own with this one too. See you guys soon.